Hello and welcome! When you look around the world today, it's clear we're in a time of crisis. And with that comes this deep, deep search for connection, for solidarity. So today we're going to explore a really hopeful response that's starting to take root all over the planet. This idea of consciously, purposefully building community, all inspired by the Baha'i teachings.
But before we get into the details, let's just pause for a second on this question. Really think about it. In a world that's more connected than ever, but often feels so broken apart, what does that word, community, actually mean to you? Is it just the people on your street? A group online? Or is it something deeper? That question right there is really at the core of everything we're going to talk about.
All right, so let's get practical. Instead of just talking in abstracts, let's look at what this actually looks like on the ground. All around the world, there are these new patterns of life popping up, and they give us these little glimpses of hope, of what's possible when people really start working together.
I want you to picture a village, maybe somewhere in rural Zambia. The sun's not even up yet, but people are gathering. They're not just neighbors, you see. They're coming together to share prayers, to find a sense of spiritual strength before they head out for a hard day's work. It's a simple act, but doing it every day, it weaves this incredible thread of unity through their entire lives.
Okay, so now take that spiritual bond and imagine what it leads to in practice. Think of a community, maybe in the Amazon, where neighbors are now working side by side on a reforestation project. They're pulling everything they have, their traditional knowledge, scientific insights, their energy, to heal their local environment. They're not just planting trees. They're literally planting the roots of a shared future.
And you know who's often at the very heart of this? The young people. In so many places, from big cities like Toronto to bustling neighborhoods in Mumbai, it's the youth who are stepping up. They're the ones starting tutoring programs for the little kids or setting up community gardens. They're not waiting to be told what to do, they're becoming the driving force of their community's own development.
So you see all of these beautiful, inspiring actions. But it's so important to understand that these aren't just random acts of kindness. They're all animated by a single, coherent vision. So what is that vision? What's the blueprint they're all working from?
Well, here's the foundation. In a message from 1996, the Universal House of Justice gives this powerful definition. It says, a community isn't just a gathering of people. It's a comprehensive unit of civilization. Think about that. It's a whole system made of individuals, families, and institutions, all working together, aligned toward one common purpose, the well-being and progress of all people.
And there's a certain spirit to these communities. They're described as vibrant communities. And that vibrancy, that energy, it doesn't just come from having things in common. It comes from an atmosphere that's full of tolerance and love and driven by a strong sense of purpose and collective will. It's about creating a space where everyone feels empowered to contribute.
Okay, so what's the engine driving all of this? What's the core spiritual principle that makes this entire vision of community even possible? Let's get into it.
At the absolute heart of the Baha'i faith is this principle, the oneness of humankind. Now, this isn't just a nice-sounding platitude. Shoghi Effendi described it as the pivot that all of baha'u'llah's other teachings revolve around. It's the central axis. It's an organizing principle for a whole new way of life.
And to help us really wrap our minds around this massive idea, Baha'u'llah gives us this powerful and actually pretty simple metaphor. He says, regard the world as the human body. That's not just poetry. It's a whole framework for understanding how we're all connected.
So let's just break that down for a second. First, think about it. Every single cell in your body is intimately connected to every other cell. It can't survive on its own. Second, the whole reason a cell exists is to serve the health of the entire body. Its purpose is found in service. And third, all the parts work together in this amazing state of cooperation. If one part is sick, the whole body feels it. The health of the part and the health of the whole are completely, totally inseparable.
So that's the big picture. Humanity is one body. But this brings us right down to our own lives. If we are the cells in this body of humanity, what does that actually mean for us? For the choices we make every single day?
Abdu'l-Baha talks about this in terms of our dual human nature. On one hand, we have our lower or animal nature, which is drawn to our own selfish interests. But we also have a higher or angelic nature, which pushes us to fulfill our responsibilities to the whole. And here's the key difference. Unlike a cell in the body, we have free will. We get to choose which of these two sides of our nature we're going to express through our actions.
There's this really beautiful passage from baha'u'llah where he says we are like a finely tempered sword, but it's hidden away in the darkness of its sheath. And that sheath, that's our own self, our own desires. Our true value, our true potential is concealed by it. And the call to us is to come forth from that sheath, to reveal our true worth through service to others.
And Abdu'l-Baha really lays out the importance of this choice in the starkest of terms. He says that when we arise to fulfill our responsibilities, we become excellent and honorable. But if we just waste our lives chasing our own selfish interests, well, he calls that wretched and contemptible. So the choice we make really defines the whole quality and meaning of our lives.
Now, it's so important to understand that this kind of deep societal transformation, well, it doesn't happen overnight. This is not a quick fix project. It's a patient, organic process of learning and building that's going to take a very, very long time.
And just to put that timescale into perspective, in a message from 2010, the Universal House of Justice calls this work an enterprise of infinite complexity and scale, one that will require centuries of exertion by humanity. Centuries. So there are no simple formulas, no shortcuts. It's about a humble, persistent cycle of action, reflection, consultation, and learning over and over again.
So, what's the fuel for a journey that long and that demanding? What could possibly sustain that kind of effort, generation after generation? Abdu'l-Baha tells us what it is. It's love. And not just romantic love, but a vast, universal, spiritual love. He calls it the magnetic force of the universe and the establisher of true civilization right here on Earth.
And so that brings us to our final question, a question for all of us to reflect on. If love is truly the ultimate power for transformation, then how can we, each one of us, right where we are, how can we consciously increase what's called the love power of reality? How can we turn our own hearts into greater centers of unity for our families, our friends, and our neighborhoods?
That question really is where the journey begins for all of us. This work of building vibrant communities is a path of constant learning. And if you'd like to keep exploring these kinds of transformative ideas with us, please go ahead and press that subscribe button. We'd love to have you with us for our next explainer.